So we will be discussing the sensors which are used for wearable. It is actually very difficult to discuss all the sensors in all perspective like design, application, material and working principles, etc. Just within 1 hour or 1.5 hours. So instead of designing the sensors, we will just I just want to discuss the perspective or the view that that is where we differentiate, or that is the view is different from the conventional sensor to the variable sensors. So during this session, I just want to change the view of the sensors that will look for variables. Okay, so how we see? We see that when we think of an ECG, ECG is nothing but it's an electrocardiogram, and this is the signal which is measured from heart, which gives us significant information about working of the heart, how whether the heart is working properly or not, or whether you have some disorder or not. So it gives you useful information about the heart. So when we thought of measuring, or when we thought of getting the signal, we only know that these are the types of the electrodes. We place some few electrodes on body and we acquire the signal. But when we think of the sensor technology, or when the variable technology, so in variable technology, ECG measurement or ECG sensing is not by this way. We don't use the gel electrodes, we don't place these electrodes like in the fashion which is shown here. We don't have a long wires, we don't have such a bulky, such a big electronic or PCB to acquire or to amplify the signal and convert that signal into digital one and then acquire. No, we have a simple small patch, and whatever circuitry or whatever things which are required here, so all are embedded in such a small patch. So this is what is the sensing, or these are the sensors. So what are the sensors, or how this is possible, that we are going to see. Again, one another example I want to take here is this second picture you can see is a pulse oximeter, which gives us oxygen saturation as well as the pulse rate. When we think of the pulse oximeter, we think that something which is attached to your finger, and this is a probe kind of thing, and this gives you the oxygen saturation and pulse rate. So in variable sensing or in variable technology, this is not the pulse oximeter. The sensing has been reduced and it is inbuilt in your wristwatch, in your smartwatch. This sensing technology uses optical sensing. We are going to discuss the optical sensing also. So all the sensors, optical sensors and its signal conditioning and amplifiers, everything it's calculation, I mean it's processing, and if it is using some kind of a smart or AI base, so everything is embedded in such small device. So this perspective we have to change. uh, this variable sensing technology, it is rapidly moving, like rapidly moving from a vision of a science fiction to a reality. Previously we were just seeing all these things in a movie, in a sci-fi movie or science fiction movie, where someone is wearing some smart thing and it's giving you, or it's giving that person some extra power. So it is actually, we are actually going towards that development. So this view or this perspective we have to change, and this perspective has changed. So what are the attributes for variable sensors? Variable, this science fiction, to bring that science fiction into reality, what are the factors which has made it possible? So these are the attributes. by using this, or because of these attributes, we are actually able to bring it into reality. So first is the affordability and ergonomics provided by advances in miniaturized electronics. Advancements or evolution of the main sensor. Because of this micro, we are able to, in the previous example we had seen the whole ECG setup, we are able to build that ECG setup just in a small patch. So this sensing tech, this advancement in miniaturized electronics has given us one scope for the development of the wearable sensors. Another thing is the proliferation of smartphones and the connected devices. See, nowadays everyone has the smartphones. So the sensor, we have something to interface or to communicate or to bring the data into a device, into a smartphones. Okay, so because of use of the smartphones, the connecting devices are readily available. You don't need a special device to bring that sensor signal into your use or into your knowledge. Okay, you have the device already. So that is one more attribute. Third one is a growing consumer desire for health awareness. uh, this is a general observation. All of us are observing this, that we are becoming more health conscious. And nowadays, because of this COVID-19 pandemic, we are becoming more and more health conscious. We are like our desire for health awareness is more. And one more factor in this is we are using some social platforms. So if one of my friend plays something on the social platform, so again my desire for health awareness will also grow. So this has these are the few factors which are responsible for the health aware growing of the health awareness. And as this health awareness is growing, so obviously demand for the wearable sensors or wearable technology has increased. So this has played a vital role for development of the wearable sensors. Our consumer market has increased, or it has been grown. And the fourth attribute is the unmet need for doctors to continuously obtain medical quality data from their patients. Again, as the technology is improving, the doctors or the medical experts, they are also needing, or they are also continuously looking for more and more data to explore more and more things. What is happening inside? See, previously using pulse, we were using pulse oximeter just for measurement of pulse, your pulse rate and the oxygen saturation. But nowadays we can extract respiration rate from pulse oximeter signal also. Like using the plethysmograph, we can extract our respiration rate also. So in this way, what are the informations which are available from the signal or the data which we are getting through variables? So doctors or the medical experts are also looking into that. So this is where this has given a scope, or these are the attributes because of which the wearable sensors or the sensing technology has grown up significantly. There are few challenges for this development. We have to bring a bigger setup into a smaller one. And to what are the challenges that we face for this kind of a sensor development? So we'll be discussing these challenges. So first challenge is the structure of the skin. This may be somewhat biological, but I'll try to make it simpler. The structure of the skin is such that it has its own impedance. Okay, if we will use some optical signal, it will have its own impedance. If we will use some if we want to extract some electrical signal, that skin will have its own impedance. Okay, so that impedance is of different types. It may be, we call it as a chemical impedance, or we call it as a contamination. There are some dead cells on the surface of the skin, some kind of a mechanical impedance, uh, some noise, and there are cracks in the on the skin, and sometimes the skin is stretched, or there are stretching on the skin. It will have electrical impedance and the noise. It will have an optical impedance and the noise. So it means that if we will pass some optical signal, that optical signal will scatter, or it will be absorbed. It won't pass. If we will pass some electrical signal, again it will have some resistance. So structure of the skin is the biggest challenge that is being faced in case of sensor development for wearable technology. uh, in normal or in a typical way, if we want to extract ECG, or if we want to collect the ECG, the we used to apply sensor on the skin surface. So to match the impedance, a gel is used. A gel is nothing but a liquid. A kind of a gel is used to match that impedance. Okay. So now, if we want to bring that technology in the wearable sensors point of view, we can't use that gel. We have to work with a dry skin, because in the wearable sensors technology, you don't have a scope to remove and apply again and again. And again, use of that gel, or use of that kind of an gel for continuously, it will cause irritations. So these are the problems, these are the challenges that have for this sensors development, or for the sensors for wearable technology. So now we will see what are the types of the sensors. Broadly, uh, we can categorize the wearable sensors in these four ways. Uh, One is a mechanical type of a sensor, another is electrical, third one is optical, and fourth one is chemical. So we can classify in a broad way the wearable sensors in four types: mechanical, electrical, optical, chemical. So we will be discussing each and every type, and while discussing the sensor itself, I'll be discussing its applications. Let us start with the mechanical sensor. Mechanical sensors, we will be discussing four mechanical sensors, that is piezoresistive, capacitive, piezoelectric, and iotronic sensors. So let us start with the piezoresistive sensors. So how body to signal transduction happens in this case? So piezoresistive. So the word itself gives the meaning of this type of a sensor. It's nothing but when conducting materials are subjected to mechanical deformation, their electrical properties change. For example, it's a kind of a material. When I will give, or when I will apply kind of a pressure, or when I will apply a kind of a mechanical force on this material, its resistance changes, or its electrical property changes. So in this case, in one example is a flex sensor, where when the flex sensor is bent or when it is stretched, its resistance changes. So this is a kind of a piezoresistive sensor. Why? Where this piezoresistive sensor is used is where, see, why this piezoresistive sensor is uh, more famous in the wearable sensing. This is because it gives us a flexibility, and it gives, with the flexibility, with the change with the change in the shape, or the flexibility allows us to measure the change in shape, or that flexibility allows us to measure the change in shape. In other terms, we can measure the change in angle. For example, one of the example is, I want to measure knee bending. Okay, so this is the very common problem in our society, that there are so many knee replacement surgeries going on every year, every day, every year. So this is the very common problem that we face. To check how is the how is your knee joint, whether it needs the surgery or not, to check how your knee joint is working, we need to measure the angle for the knee joint. So now for this type of an measurement, if we will use a flex sensor, if we will use a flex sensor, we'll apply a sensor on the knee, and we'll ask the subject to bend or to move the legs, and to measure or and to observe the signal which is coming. So this gives us measurement of the angle, measurement of the motion, measurement of the flexibility in by using this flex sensors. So this is one example I have shared. So for this type of an applications, this piezoresistive sensors are used. This variable resistive strain sensor must meet some certain criteria. That is, it should have high stretchability and flexibility. It should have a low hysteresis, and it should have high sensitivity. Now, what do you mean by high stretchability and flexibility? It should stretch at max as it can. It should be flexible. Low hysteresis. Hysteresis is the term all engineers we know. If we are making measurements from say lower point to higher point, and again higher point to lower point, we get a different graphs. So it should have a low hysteresis, we should not get the different graph. Okay, so it simply means that its response should be same, and again it should give us high sensitivity. It should be highly sensitive, because we are designing it for variable sensing. A very we have to get the change in the output with the small size. That is what is the challenge. Okay, so it should again have a high sensitivity. So a typical stretchable strain sensor consists of a thin film conductor on a, silicon elastomer. In the material point of view, for a stretchable strain sensor, it's nothing but it's a thin film conductor, and plate placed on a silicon elastomer. So it is more in the MEMS kind of development, but I just want to give you a material perspective, what is the material which is used here. So this is example of the flex sensor to detect the respiration. Measurement of the respiration is most, I mean, it is one of the vital, one of the most important parameter that needs some kind of a measurement. So this is, you can see, this is a very small sensor. It's a flex kind of a sensor, flex sensor. So it is placed on the stomach like this, and when we inspire or respire, during this respiration, this sensor's electrical properties changes, that is, its resistance changes, and that change in resistance we bring into some quantifiable, like change in electrical signal, and then we displayed it, maybe change in voltage, and then it is displayed here. So you can see, this is the graph, this is the one cycle, one respiration cycle, that is the graph of the respiration cycle that is being monitored here by using the flex sensor. This is the example of the resistive strain sensor. So let us move ahead. Another example of a resistive sensor is a resistive pressure sensor. So we can see here, uh, this sensor gives us pulse pressure. Okay, so measuring of pulse signal, this is a very old technology. our ancestors or they are using this technology in a medical point of view to diagnose many or to diagnose a variety or wide range of the diseases and disorders. They get all kind of information through this pulse. Okay, so this is the resistive pressure sensor which is used for measurement of this pulse signal. You can see this pressure sensor is placed just below your thumb on the wrist where we used to see the pulses. So there this pressure sensor is used, and it gives us a signal, or it gives us it's monitoring how your pulses are like working. So it gives us what is the highest peak, what is the maximum thirst your pulse has, what are the two crest that the pulse is having. So useful information is extracted out of these by medical experts. But here this is a kind of an resistive pressure sensor which is used. uh, Let us move ahead. Another type of a sensor is a capacitive sensor. Body to signal transduction is there is a change in capacitance because of mechanical force. Because of a force, there is a change in the capacitance. Now, capacitor has a simple equation, like it has its dielectric constant area divided by distance between two plates. So that dielectric constant is called as a permittivity. So when this d changes, capacitance changes. So this is the very simple working principle used in the capacitive sensors. So use of the capacitive sensors in variable sensor technology, it's most favorite. One of the example is here. This is where we call it as a electronic skin or tactile sensor. The other word used is a tactile sensor, where we can get a sense of touching, or we should have a sense of touching, should get a sense of touching. Okay, so this is nothing but array of all these capacitive sensors. So you can see one human being is one person has touched from one side, and at another side you can see a robotic hand. So the you can see that person's touch, it's mimic or replicated by this robotic hand. Okay, so this is here uh, to just to mimic that sensing, or to just mimic that pressing, just to train the contacts. See where this is used in artificial intelligence. I want to train my robot for touching one object, whether it is a hard object or a small object. How fast it should grab that object? What should be the force that the person should apply on that object? The level of the force. Okay, so in this case, this type of an electronic skin is used. We, the human being, will grab the object, and that object is nothing but that object is surrounded by this electronic skin, and the same object will be there in robotic hand, and that force or the force applied by the human being should match with the force applied by the robotic hand, so that if the robotic hand or the robot understands how or what will be the force. Now coming to the biomedical or medical application in healthcare, where this electronic skin can be used. One of the example is I can discuss is say in India, specifically in rural India, healthcare scenario is very poor. In urban area, we can see that healthcare is much improved than in the rural area. They don't get healthcare support that much. So in this case, there are so many or numerous reasons, like money flow and scope and patients and etc etc. There are so many reasons. Infrastructure is not available in the rural healthcare in the rural area, whereas infrastructure is available to the healthcare professionals in urban area. So they tend to move towards urban, but because of this the rural healthcare is being suffered. So in this case, people are trying to give healthcare support remotely. The doctors, the medical experts are sitting in urban area, and they are supporting, or they are giving support to the rural area. So in this case, say I want to know, like I want to do some kind of an palpation. I want to do some kind of a touch. What is the I want to measure something by touch. That is the main, or that is one of the main use that the healthcare professionals are doing. So in this case, this type of sensors are used, or this type of sensors can be used. So research is going on in this direction also. You may find so many, I know few of them who are working on such kind of a development. uh, so this is one of the area where this pressure sensor or can be used. The another type is antronic sensors, where these are used to tackle the challenges of high sensitivity, because again, when there are ions, we will get the high sensitivity, and again we'll have a low parasitic noise. And this new type of an sensing gives us interface, the sensing mechanism, uh, easy interface. And they have introduced with a significant improvement on device sensitivity and signal to noise ratio. So this type of sensors are basically in use because of low noise, and it gives us high sensitivity. So this is simple one. When a mechanical force is applied, the ions will align across the membrane or across the outer area, and then that ionic movement, or that alignment of that ion is measured. So this is what is ionic sensors. This is example of one example of the ionic sensor. We call this is a tactile sensor, and it consists of microfluid, and this is used for three-dimensional force measurement. So you can imagine here, this is a three-dimensional sensor. It has microfluid inside, and from all the directions, from all directions. So when a finger is kept on this, so we will get that fluid is pressed from all the directions. That, like, the change in the fluid um, can be converted into information, and then we will get a three-dimensional force measurement using this type of a sensors. Another sensor is a piezoelectric sensor. This sensing mechanism for here also, when the force or pressure or strain is applied, so these ions or the atoms, or the ions align themselves in such a way that it aligns along the direction of the force, in such a way that you can see on one side on all positive, and on another side all negative. So by measuring the voltage or the ionic measurement, by measuring the charge developed on the surface, we will get the information about the force or the pressure. So applications for are measuring arterial pulse pressure, again finger bending motion detection, and detecting body movements. So for all these applications, this piezoelectric sensor is used. So we can see, this is the piezoelectric pressure sensor. You can see a small patch on the wrist. So this is your piezoelectric pressure sensor. This is used for measurement of a blood pressure. And you can see its closer view, how it is fabricated. Again, in more depth, again a closer view is seen here in a small window. So this is a sensor wrap on a cylindrical glass support and laminated on the wrist. As this, because of the pressure, its charge changes, and the charge change in the charge is measured and collected and measured, and this gives us a signal of the blood pressure. This is one of the sensor. It's accelerometer. So it measures static and dynamic acceleration force due to gravity, motion, and vibration. It gives angle the object to it gives the angle the object is oriented at with respect to the earth, and also gives direction of the motion. It is used to detect motion and distinguish between a footstep versus a wrist shake by measuring how fast a user is moving. So this accelerometer sensor is used in your wristband or smartwatch, even in mobile phones. This can be tuned using this can be tuned for walking or footstep versus wrist shake, or running versus walking, etc., etc. It gives you information. Before moving to the electrical sensor, do you have any doubt? If you have any doubt, if you want to discuss something, just put your question in the chat window. So let us start discussing electrical sensors. Most electrical sensors, how body to signal transduction happens. They measure a change in electrical resistance of a skin, uh, or to measure change in capacitive or conductively coupled charge at the skin surface. So this is what I was discussing, I was talking about the variable sensors, or about the sensors. There are two types of contacts that happens on the screen. One is a wet electrode and another is a dry electrode. So what do you mean by wet electrode? Wet electrode means a kind of a gel or some kind of liquid is used in between electrode and the skin for interface. And another is a dry electrode. Now, many variable sensing devices require repeated placement and removal of the device, prolonged use. And there are some other factors that may not permit the use of a wet electrode. So in this case, optimized dry electrode configuration is the only solution, or dry electrodes are used. Optimized dry electrode interface minimizes air gap between the electrode and the skin, and it eliminates artifacts. Artifacts are nothing but this is the noise which is coming. This is the unwanted signal, or we call it as a noise, which is coming because of some other issues like movement or other things. So it eliminates artifact associated with relative motions between the electrodes and the skin. So in case of variable sensors, in case of specifically variable electrical sensors, dry electrode configuration or optimized dry electrode configuration is used, or it is recommended. So these are the few applications. It is used for measurement of ECG, or we call it as EKG. This is the ECG signal. ECG is nothing but it gives us electrical monitoring or information or electrical activity of the heart. EEG, it is used for the measurement of EEG. EEG is nothing but electroencephalogram. It gives us, this is the EEG signal. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 band EEG. There are different bands in the EEG signals. So for sensing of the EEG signal, this type of an electrical dry electrodes are used. Um, Then it is also used for EMG. EMG signal, electromyogram signal. This gives us Electrical activity of the muscle movement, the way muscle contracts or relax. When we perform a movement, the movement is performed with the help of muscles. So it, because of that movement, the muscle generates a kind of a signal. So that is nothing but EMG signal, electromyogram signal. You can see a blue signal which is displayed here on the screen. So for measurement of this EMG signal, this type of an electrode is used. Another signal is EOG, nothing but electrooculogram, which gives us measurement of electrical activity of eyes. Um, so here these are few EOG signals. Like when you double blink your eye, this is how the signal appears. For a single blink, this is how the signal appears. For looking up, this is how the signal appears. So for measurement of EOG, this type of an electrical optimized dry electrode type of sensors are used or recommended. Then in case of ERG, nothing but electroretinogram, measurement of electrical signal on the retina of the eye. Then galvanic skin response, that is also called as a GSR, and electrical impedance for tomograph. Electrical impedance tomograph is one of new or recent technology which gives us information in terms of change in the electrical impedance, or it gives it three-dimensional information. One more dimension is explored here. So something more about this technology is when small electrical signal is passed through the skin, say for example it is passed through the skin, and again it is measured from by using electrodes, and by measuring it's or by calculating impedance of the skin in different directions, we will get a three-dimensional change, or three-dimensional information, and this information reveals a lot, or this information is used for data collection for different applications. So these are the applications of electrical sensors, and where uh, optimized dry electrodes are recommended. So this is one example, ECG and EMG. This is the ECG sensor which plays. You can see this is the signal acquired from the sensor place here. The sensor is attached to the skin, and this is the ECG signal. Again, another example is EMG. This is the EMG signal. This is the EMG electrode, and this is the EMG signal, and this is how it look like. This is dry, and this is with gel. So let us discuss optical sensors now. When we think of an optical sensors, our perspective is some LEDs, some type of an light, red light, green light, IR at a bigger scale, and then we will on that LED, off it for certain measurement, and we will acquire that signal and calculate. Okay, so one example of the optical sensor is if simple IR transmitter and receiver pair used for measurement at the tip of a finger. So at the tip of a finger, what is changing there is nothing but the blood volume which is coming in and going out. Only change in that case is the blood volume. So that small change in the blood volume can be detected by using by using the optical sensors, by using that IR transmitter receiver. And in medical term, we call that signal as photoplethysmograph. Now again, there are so many advancements, so many things which are on top of that for development of pulse oximeter, like there is a change in the thickness, change in the skin color, change in concentration, oxygen concentration, etc., etc. There are so many things which are on top of the things, on top of just using an IR transmitter receiver pair for pulse oximeter. But here I just want to give you and how it works, working principle of the optical sensor. So there is a light source which introduces light into the body through the skin, and by changes in the light scattering and light absorption, the body reveals information through the light that is back reflected or transmitted to an optical detector. And the wavelength of this light source can range from UV to a deep infrared, and depending on needed penetration depth and significant absorption peak for the relevant sensing applications, the wavelength needs to be selected. Similar, similar breadth appears in the detectors as for the particular wavelength. As we have chosen the transmitter, similar breadth should be is available for the detectors. The respective detector should be chosen. The most widely used systems capture heart rate variability, and oxygen saturation. So this is the pulse oximeter. Just by using few lights or few LEDs. Okay, you can see IR and red LEDs placed here. Uh, Most of us are using this technology in smartwatches. We have smartwatches, and in smartwatches, this technology is already there. A pulse oximeter, which uses this optical sensor. Let us discuss the last type, that is a chemical sensor, wearable chemical sensor. uh, how body to signal transduction happens. The identification and quantification of most analytics is only possible through a probe, like uh, how a probe that relies on direct chemical interaction with the biomarker. Like we will put that sensor on the skin surface, and because of interaction there will be chemical change because of that biochemical interaction, and we will be monitoring that chemical analytics by using some measuring devices or by using some measurements. So this is the basic sensing technology for chemical sensors, wearable chemical sensors. So these are used for measurement of biofluids secreted by the body, for example, saliva, sweat, or tears. Uh, there are so many examples, like by using tears or by using sweat sensors. What are the information which comes out? So this is one of the information, like sweat sensor to predict blood glucose. So kind of a patch sensor is used here, wearable sensor. It's a biochem or it's a chemical wearable sensor, and whatever the sweat that is being secreted by our body, so that through that sweat we can calculate or we can come for the measurement or we can predict the blood glucose level. What could be the blood glucose level? So this is one of the example. Another example is even through tears also, whatever by using or by measuring the fluid measurement of the tears will also give you information about the blood glucose, or even you can predict the blood glucose. This is also one example. This effort is made by Google and Novartis. This is co-developed by Google and Novartis, and this is a contactless sensor. The sensor is placed on the contact lens, which are used on eye retina, and the sensor is used for measurement of glucose concentration in tears. And you can see here, like this is the miniaturized sensor. So it is a miniaturized electrochemical glucose sensor. Everything is placed on this contact lens, and even a wireless chip and antenna rings, etc. Everything is placed on this contact lens itself. So this effort was made by Google and Novartis, I think in 2014. One more example for measurement of fine phoresis is we are nowadays, as we have become more health conscious, we are using so many applications, mobile apps, for giving alert or for for our health. Okay, one of the alert we used to get is to drink water. So how your mobile app will understand, or will it, it get to know whether you have drank water, whether you have drank water or not? So this is a kind of an automatic feedback system for alarming, or for getting a feedback, a closed loop feedback to the mobile app that I have drank a glass of water or not. A sensor is placed on the skin. Okay, or maybe it is a delayed response. It takes some time, like 5 minutes, and for detection to 2.5 minutes. So you can say it's a 7 minutes delay, but that's fine. After drinking a glass of water and after 7 minutes, I can detect, or my mobile app can detect that I have drank water before 7 minutes. So this is the one of the example for antopic phoresis. Uh, I just want to share this. What are the sensors? This information. What are the sensors? Vital sign measurement, and what are the materials used? What is a key feature and limitation? This table is available in one of the research paper, like Amir Serveti and his team has worked on this, and they have made this, they have prepared this. But as this is very useful information, I just wanted to share this information with you. Let us see how this uh, market size for variable will be, or how this market size is for variable in 2020. So your electrical, looking at the chemical, mainly invasive glucose sensors, they acquire maximum market. Second, I can say is a mechanical one. Third, I can come to the optical one, then electrical, and then stretch and the pressure one. So again, this graph is made by James Howard. So I just want to discuss here mainly this chemical sensor will take over hold the market. Secondly, mechanical, then optical, then electrical, and then other stretch and the pressure sensor. So that is what I wanted to discuss. Now let us take questions. Anyone from mains? Anyone from mechanical or mains development? I mean, anyone working in the mains? So you can add few more things because I'm not expert in that domain. But I just try to change the view or the perspective by which you should look for variable sensors. If anyone is working in the MEMS development, you can share your views or you can add few things. Okay, there are few questions. Local availability of ionized sensor for force sensing. For force sensing, sensors are available. Um, there are few sensors which are available for force. I am not able to recollect the names exactly, but there are few. But if you want to go for, if you have some special requirement, then you have to go for production and development of that sensor. This optical sensor is used as a wearable device in your smartwatch for measurement of oxygen saturation and the pulse rate. Optical sensors are used. You can see if you will just flip your smartwatch, you can see some green light or red light or blinking, or even you can get an appearance or existence of IR source there, IR light source there. So these are the optical sensors which are used for measurement of oxygen saturation and the pulse rate. Okay, which in optical sensor, which light is better? No, in optical sensor, um, the bandwidth is selected based on the requirement of the penetration, or requirement of the depth of the penetration. See how deep you want to go. So for that the bandwidth is selected, and the use of a light, use of a different light, light source is based on that bandwidth. And there are few other things which are, for example, in pulse oximeter, the IR light is used to get a change in a blood volume, and green light can be used, say, to get the thickness of the finger, or red light can be used to get how much amount of oxygenated blood is there. So these are the different applications. Based on that applications, you can select. Here, no such a thing as this is better or this is good or this is bad. No. Yes, the sensors are externally connected to body. Few sensors are implanted under skin or inside the body, like for pacemaker. The sensor or the device is the whole device is implanted inside the body. For blood glucose measurement, about availability of sensor in the market or the market analysis, we have expert expert session on market analysis and application. So we'll be discussing this topic on Friday. Any side effects inside our body? If for the wearable sensors, only side effect is irritation. See, a simple patch, a simple attachment of the patch will cause you irritation. No other side effect than that. That is on the surface of the body. If it is inside the body, for implantable sensor, uh, for implantable sensors, biocompatibility, we call the term as a biocompatibility. So we have to select some special materials which will be compatible inside the body. They should not have, that material should not have interaction with the body things or body parameters like blood or plasma, etc. It should not have biochemical interaction with other things. So some, that is another topic where we can go in the depth, like we call these materials are biomaterials, or the materials should be biocompatible. Yes, it is possible. There are so many sensors which are implanted inside the body. One example I've given you, pacemaker. Pacemaker is nothing but, if this is used for heart, if in case the heart is not generating the signal to pump the blood, that is an electrical signal. So by using this pacemaker device, that electrical signal is provided by using some sensors. The sensors are placed on the surface of the heart tissue, and this device gives a charge, or it generates a kind of an electrical signal which is provided to the heart, which helps the heart to pump the blood. This is also one of the category where implanted sensors are encapsulated and swallowed. Not only this, there are so many implanted sensors. There are so many invasive sensors which are used inside the body. For example, for open heart surgery, the blood pressure measurement, it's done on the surface of the heart, on the artery, on main artery, that is aorta. So for that measurement, invasive sensors are used. This is one of the example.